Hello, I'm Kathy from the Engagement and Projects team at Historic England Archive. In this short presentation, I will share just a small selection of some of the archaeology collections that we hold. Firstly, we will look at some archival items featured as part of our recent engagement activity event for the Big Draw. Then I will share some favourite images from my colleagues in the archive while demonstrating ways to access the collections online. The image on the right shows our website where you can discover more about England's archaeology, as well as historic buildings and social history, using Historic England Archive. We hold over 12 million photographs, drawings, reports and publications from the 1850s to the present day, covering the whole of England. Over 1 million of our records can be searched online, and our digitisation work and cataloguing is ongoing. In the last week of October, Historic England Archive delivered a pop-up event in an empty shop at the Swindon Designer Outlet Centre, full of family-friendly drawing opportunities. Titled Drawing Inspiration from the Historic England Archive, we displayed a range of our collections demonstrating the different ways of recording and depicting our shared heritage. Highlights from our archaeology collections featured on the first panel, exploring how we picture the past. We also had a temporary gallery where people could share their own drawings using a range of activity sheets, which was added to over the week. This slide shows some behind-the-scenes shots as we prepared possible materials. You may be able to spot a facsimile paper negative of Stonehenge in the top left image. We are known for our large photograph collections, but we were keen to highlight drawings in our collection as part of this event as well. The image on the right shows hand-drawn ink drop surveys of Mulgrave Castle from 1990. We selected the larger image to use it as an example in our Big Draw event, as it demonstrates a particular type of technical drawing to show information about the historic environment. And we thought it was a great example of how different uses of line can convey specific information in archaeological drawings. As part of our creative activities, we invited people to create their own version of the drawing of the central features, with some people copying the survey style, while others more creatively reconstructed the castle in their own original ways. We also shared this layered drawing from the archive that reconstructs the facade of a building. The brown section is from a survey of the building recorded by J.C. Carter in 1798. Nearly 200 years later, illustrator Terry Ball has reproduced Carter's original image and used it as the basis for reconstructing the rest of the facade in a grey watercolour. Additionally, we wanted to show how the same archaeological site can be drawn in different ways to convey different information, and shows two pictures of Silbury Hill by the artist Judith Dobie. The first one shown here has been drawn using ink and pen, a bit like the image of Mulgrave Castle. But this is a cutaway drawing that helps explain how Silbury Hill was built in layers. The other drawing that we used is very colourful and imagines how the site may have looked after the Romans had arrived in Britain. The view is from high up so that more of the area around Silbury Hill can be seen. We hold many more drawings by Judith Dobie, available to browse on the Archive's Find Photos search page. I've mentioned that Historic England Archive are renowned for our large photograph collections, which includes the England's Library of Aerial Photographs. For the Big Draw, our photographic studio stitched together 16 aerial photographs of Swindon in 1946 into one large image. This large print was very popular at our event. It allowed us to talk about our location nearby, pointing out the archive, which is this L-shaped building in the centre here. But it also allowed us to discuss the way that Swindon has changed and stayed the same. Lots of changes and use of land can be seen in this image, with the large number of allotments and green spaces now built up as urban developments. Aerial images are also great for spotting archaeological sites in open areas. And we also continue to take new aerial photography. This is an aerial image of a well-known archaeological site in our collections, Vindolanda in Northumberland, taken by our aerial flyer, Emma Trevarthen. It's selected as a highlight by one of my colleagues, and it's a great example of how weather conditions can also affect visibility of archaeological sites. As my colleague shares, the snow really enhances the excavated stonework and gives it a slightly eerie feeling. In this aerial image of West Kennet Longbarrow by our aerial flyer Damien Grady, The crop growth has enhanced the visibility of the ancient site, with the colour of the vibrant yellow rapeseed against the green of the scheduled monument, making it really stand out. On our website, you can find out more general information about our collections, including more information about aerial photography and its benefits to archaeology. You can explore more photographs on our collections by visiting our website, Find Photos. I will now give you a quick tour of some of my colleagues' top picks on the theme of archaeology. We'll take a quick look at the Flaxman Spurrell album, some photos of Stonehenge, and some views across collections that show archaeologists at work. So on our homepage, there are several things that you can explore. At the bottom of the page, there's a link directly to the aerial photographs that I mentioned earlier. And this is a wonderful page for finding out more about the relationship between aerial photography and archaeology. And if archaeology is your main interest, there's lots more resources to explore on this particular page. If you click on the hyperlink in the first paragraph, this will take you straight to our Find Photos page, where the following images are all available to view. A collection that has been shared by a few colleagues as a highlight was the Flaxman Spurrell album. Flaxman Charles John Spurrell was an archaeologist, a photographer, an antiquary, and a geologist, and the album reflects all of these interests. If I scroll down, you get a sense of the variety of images that can be found in just this one album. A couple of highlights selected by my colleagues include this image, which is a view of Kit's Cotty in Kent, captioned Kit's Cotty under the Act, with the railings depicted in this photograph being a result of this site being one of the first monuments scheduled under the Ancient Monuments Protection Act in 1882. And as you can see on our website, you can click on images to get a more zoomed in view of the individual images as well. The Flaxman Spurrell album also includes an early documented use of artificial light, in this case magnesium, to photograph a 4-pillared pit in 1866. Some images from this album have also been used in our publication, Picturing England. The Historic England archive contains images of what is probably England's most famous site, Stonehenge. And you can see a variety of images here. This also includes images from the Atkinson Stonehenge excavations. 3 highlights from my colleagues all show archaeological work in the 1950s, such as this one here, drawing attention to the work that has been done at the site over the years. This includes some reconstruction work and some health and safety practices that perhaps may not be considered best practice today, but they also include images of photographers taking more images of the site. And if I zoom in here, hopefully you can make out the 2 photographers rather precariously positioned, caught in this image as well. This is a particularly impressive large ladder that was on site as well. And the photographs in this collection also include excavation images, such as this one, that show archaeologists at work. And here they are investigating a find in the center here as well. We also have photographs of archaeologists at work from more recent excavations. This photograph was chosen by a colleague as it reminded them of, quote, looking at a hole. My colleague further reflected that this is roughly how I spent a lot of time on my excavations, looking and pondering. Here are 2 people in a trench at Netley Abbey in Hampshire, with a 3rd figure stood in the distance. And here is a photograph of a dig director on a Roman villa excavation site in Kent. This particular image, along with many others, is actually available to view on our Historic England shop, where they can be ordered in a range of formats and even custom printed onto a variety of products. There's actually a whole archaeology gallery of images to explore on this particular site, including aerial photography, So if you're looking for archaeological gifts, this is a good place to browse to. We also post about archaeology from our collections on our Twitter account as well. So if you've been interested in the things that you've seen in this presentation, please do give us a follow to keep up to date with our activities and to see more of our collection highlights. And finally, I wish to finish this presentation with a return to drawing, as this is one of my favourite images by Judith Dobie in our collections. And I feel it further demonstrates just the wonderful creativity and interpretation in archaeology collections. Judith has written about her process in creating images of Silbury Hill, which this is another image of. And I quote, "What stood out was the significance of the component materials and the colours and textures of the different layers of soil. You could think of the hill as a collage growing gradually and incrementally bigger, a gathering together of different substances, nothing accidental, all with meaning to the people who brought them to Silbury. The process, the physical activity of construction was important in itself, not just the end production. For people who had no written record, perhaps the intention was that the makers of the hill should be seen, known, and remembered." And I love how this approach to recording this site of archaeological interest has helped bring it alive, drawing attention to the people and animals in our past. For further information about drawing the historic environment, you can find more information on Historic England's Visualising Heritage webpage that also includes some downloadable resources, as well as more of Judith Dobie's work. But please do come and visit us at the Historic England Archive online, or follow us on our Twitter account to keep up to date and to find more collections for yourself. This has been some highlights of archaeology collections in the Historic England Archive. Thank you for watching.